Hi there, we have another article to share with you. Alright, this is a really scary one. Actually, we've got two articles. So, oops. I don't know if you know Amy Mack. She's a Twitter user. And apparently, this journalist activist type from HuffPost, Luke O something, we're going to get into it in a second. He has doxed her, or he's threatening to dox her. I'm not sure which it is, but we've got two articles here about it. So we've got Gateway Pundit, horror Trump supporters, family stalked by Huffington Post writer. Oh, Luke O'Brien is the name. Her husband loses job, family is put in danger. And I really like this guy, Daniel Greenfield. He has a lot of good articles. Verizon's Huffington Post doxes woman for being retweeted by Trump. So I actually follow her myself. So, wow. I heard about this on Friday afternoon, actually. And somebody had posted about it on the Anthony Brian Logan Discord server. But then I saw it again and I was like, I should do a video on that. Because even though I have a small following, I'd like to, help push out the information. Maybe somebody will decide to do a video on it who's bigger than me because of my videos. So either way, let's get the information out there. So according to the Gateway Pundit, horror Trump supporters family stalked by Huffington Post, I read this. Amy Mack is a pro-Trump conservative voice on Twitter, also an outspoken critic of radical Islam. Because of this, she remains anonymous on Twitter. I don't know how anonymous she is, if she's using a name. And apparently that's her picture. Like, you notice I don't use my name. I think the only thing people have is my first name. And I've already been, for a very long time, extremely protective of, like, my last name. So, even though it's common, but because of her powerful voice, she has over 200,000 subscribers. An amazing success. She's constantly under attack. And I've seen this before. Like, the one time I was like, oh, who is she? Is she tied to anything? And I Googled her. And all I found was like, oh, this Amy Mack horrible person. Apparently she's on Facebook as well as Twitter. So, far left critics are threatening to expose her and her family. Well, they already called her husband's work. So this puts them in mortal danger, but they're probably threatening to do worse. This Huffington Post activist, Luke O'Brien, recently discovered her true identity. So he's harassing her husband, harassing her family, calling her husband's work, and getting him fired. Asshole! The asshole alarm is going off for you, buddy! Whew. This is the modern day left. Do you still want anything to do with the left? Yeah, I hope not. They're nothing but violent fascists who are out to destroy their opposition. Yes. I try to drill this in people every day. So here's her tweets. Just gonna switch back over to this article. So this is the same, this tweet here. And this right here, same thing. Alert, I need your help. This is shocking. Contact the HuffPo and demand that he stop. I don't think they'll stop. So, the loving left is at it again. So, going back to the, what is this? It's David Horowitz's site. Front page. Going back to front page, we've heard a lot about decency. Okay, let's talk about decency. Forget name calling. How about a Verizon-owned media group targeting a Twitter user, exposing her full name and location to the terrorist whom she condemned online because the media group's reporter doesn't like the Twitter user. And because Trump once retweeted her. We're talking about Amy Mack. Now, like, some of the posts that I've seen from her, let me stop for a minute and think. I remember there was one video where they were showing, like, a convert to Islam was like, wait, what should I say? What do you want me to tell them? Like, you could tell, because she was, like, talking Valley Girl and she was white. I mean, I guess she could have, in theory, not been a revert. That's what they call them, but whatever. She certainly seemed like it, because, like I said, she was, like, pale white, talking like a Valley Girl, and she was like, wait, what should I say? She was, like, being interviewed. I don't know. Tell me what to tell them. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, a lot of the stuff that she posts, I've seen it myself, like, on YouTube or whatever. So she just finds the stuff she finds stuff that shows very clearly, like, what we're up against and who we're up against. Videos about the most shocking things that is done by the people of peace. And yeah, so they're calling it Trump's loudest anti-Muslim Twitter troll is a shady vegan married to an ousted WWE exec. Yeah, who ousted her husband from his job? I mean, that is just, I don't know, it might be time for us to start doing this stuff back to the left. Maybe it's time, you know, if there's any leftists who live in, like, red states, maybe it's time for people to, like, get them fired from their red state employers who, like, you know, I mean, it's time to stand up to the left. It's past time. Anonymously spread hate online for years. Can't hide anymore. Like, really? We are talking about people who chop off heads. You know, stuff like that. Throw rocks at cars and have people, like, get into accidents. Really? We're gonna talk about them as if, like, they're not hating? I've done some videos about, I did two videos about that guy, Mar Shaheen from Davis, California. Yeah, that was hate. There's definitely hate going on. So yeah, that's doxing, and it's being conducted by a Verizon company because HuffPo is, you know, Verizon, then AOL, and AOL is HuffPo, and bing bang boom. So Luke repeatedly uses the word cruel. Really? Really? She's cruel? What about the people who harass her? You know, I mean, you know, the left claims to be all about victims. Recently, I had, like, a mini spar. It didn't go too far because it was in person, and it was, like, it was my friend's brother, actually. Yeah. So that got awkward, and he really didn't want to, like, go at me, but he was like, the right are fascists! You guys want to kick everybody out of the country who's not white! And meanwhile, here he is, a Jewish man, defending the left. And the left is defending this. And this woman is exposing people who hate Jews. Like, you know, he's talking about, there was an incident back in the 40s during World War II. So, early 40s, obviously. There was a boat that left Europe with, like, some refugees, like some Jews who escaped. Because you couldn't get out and you couldn't get in during the war, the Shoah. Some Jews escaped and they filled up a boat and they tried to go to Israel. Well, it was British mandate for Palestine at the time. And so they tried to go and they couldn't get in. I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but I've heard this story a few times. And they couldn't get in. They couldn't get the boat into Palestine. Now Israel, for some reason. So they went around to a few different countries trying to get a country to take them. They came all the way over here to the United States, and they were sure that the U.S. was going to take them. The U.S. didn't take them, and so the boat ended up sinking, and all of those Jews ended up dying. So, Jews kind of talk about that, but pretty sure it was the left's fault that they wouldn't take Jews during the war. I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. And that was like a total tangent. Back to Amy, who, by the way, I read somewhere that she's actually Jewish, so not entirely off point. But, I mean, this is a crazy thing. Like, they tell us, some of these people tell us Jews, we're supposed to be on their side. Because, they're supposedly all about victims. But when one of their groups wants to, like, kill another one of their groups, who do they pick? And you can see which group they've apparently picked. They've apparently picked the people of peace over the Jews, who, really have been victimized a lot. Because people know, like Tree of Logic said it well in one of her debates against, I don't know if it was David Duke or... She had 3 debates. David Duke, Mike Enoch, and Richard Spencer. And in one of those debates, like, she pointed out, she's like, you guys pick on the Jews because there's less of them and they're wimpy, because they're like the annoying, smart, nerdy person. And so, you pick on Jews because they don't fight back. So, yeah. Anyway. So this Luke asshole reporter activist guy repeatedly uses the word cruel in his attack of poor Amy. And a more accurate description of the cruelty would be targeting a Twitter user. Or how about the stuff that she's trying to expose, making assorted claims about her personal life, getting her husband fired because he doesn't like her views. And even so, like, she's sticking up for victims. But, it's not the right victim, right? So when one of your little victim groups picks on one of your other victim groups, you pick a side. And, this is very clear for those... I don't really... Even though I'm Jewish and I've, like, sold, so to speak, my channel to Jewish audiences, I don't know if I don't think I have that many Jewish subscribers. But for Jewish subscribers, I do have, like, the left has nothing left for us. And I'm assuming if I have Jewish subscribers, you know that. But send this video to your leftist Jewish friends. The left is not for us anymore. They are cheerleading the people who want to kill us. The people who are out to get us. Okay, so this Daniel author from Front Page, he says, I don't know much about Amy. What I do know is that she seems to criticize Islamic terrorism, and some in Islamic and in the left consider that enough to justify terrorizing her. Like I said, they're all about victims, but, when you have 2 victims on, and one is, like, fighting the other one, like, pick. So basically, they're picking the bully in this case. And they're saying that the bully is the victim and they're defending the bully. Not a surprise. How many times do teachers who are notoriously left-leaning defend the bully in their classroom? Yeah, exactly. So Amy Mack is a Twitter user, not a public figure. She's a Twitter user. So Trump retweeted her, but that doesn't make her a public figure. Except apparently now it does. Well, anything the left can get away with, they do, and they keep pushing the buttons. It's high time we find ways to stand up to them, and the rest of the media, which claims to aspire to decency, is cheering on the Gawkerites, needs to answer to whether or not it believes this is ethical journalism. I'm sure they think it is, but it isn't. Verizon shareholders also ought to ask whether the company isn't carrying significant reputational risk through its ownership of HuffPo. Gawker's antics ended with $140 million verdict and $31 million settlement. So Verizon should maybe ask itself if letting its reporters dox random Twitter users that they don't like is worth $31 million, or to ask it's time to exercise some editorial control over HuffPo. I think she should sue HuffPo. I really do. That's my personal opinion. Allegedly. Isn't that what you're supposed to say? So they might want to consider whether it's a good idea, whether they want to let a jury in Fishkill decide this question. So, and if you happen to be a Verizon shareholder, like, you have special things that you can do. Now, going back to the Gateway Pundit, they show some of her tweets about this man. She was retweeted by several, like, big names on the right, and who said, like, to stick up for her. But surprisingly, I don't see a lot of videos about it. And this happened, I think, like the 31st, maybe? So it's been a few days. But anyway. So, I guess it's not much of an article. So, it's mostly just her tweets about it. Lazy journalism. Whew, did I say that out loud? Anyway. So, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that. Thanks for stopping by my channel. I will see you all next time.
People need to be awake, and they need to be awake, and they need to be aware. They need to stand up against the stuff. People need to be awake. People need to be awake, and they need to be aware. They need to stand up against this stuff.
And it's so politically engaged.
And it's so politically engaged.